What is going on? I am super excited right now because I am sitting in front of a legend, a man who I truly admire, and he is doing great things in this world. And I want to introduce him to you before I go into a long bio of all of his accomplishments, all the books he's written. I just want to share what he means to me from being in my presence. I actually first came across Mr. Peter Sage when I was listening to a podcast called London Real. And through that interview, I was just fascinated, captivated. I think it was like a 2-3 hour podcast. And I just kept on listening and listening. I was like, wow, I would love to meet this man one day. And fate would have it that we have a mutual friend connected us, and he's going to be in New York. So I said, Peter, I would love to have you over my house, do an interview, and share your wisdom with the world. So first and foremost, Peter, thanks for being here.
Hey, the pleasure's mine, and I guess careful what you wish for, hey? the universe is listening.
Yes, yes. And I would love to touch on that. The universe is listening. So, of course, the first thing that came up for me was the law of attraction, right? That whole element. Universe is listening. Is it to where everything we say, every intention we set comes to manifest, or what are the laws behind that?
If it was as easy as that, we'd all have everything that we think we wanted.
Yes.
Right? And I think, to start with, it's probably a great way, before we get into law of attraction, to put a bit of context behind it, because there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that are watching that are very sort of pro personal growth, personal development. They're into the law of attraction, and it doesn't always work. Yeah, as I say, if it was consistent, we'd all have everything. But we're not here to have everything. One of the challenges is that most people don't have a context for understanding their role in life, in the universe. Where is it? The big questions: why are we here? The ones that humanity has looked to the sky for millennia and sort of posed. Most people like to ignore because they're too busy rushing to Starbucks. So one of the things that I think is important to understand is to sort of delve into those kind of questions. Why are we here? Because most people, as I say, they're too busy being busy, and what they're trying to do without that context is create a comfortable life. So they're navigating adversity, they're navigating their job, they're navigating their path, and a lot of the time they really don't understand or have a reason that they can answer or look in the mirror and say, what is it really about? Why am I here? We can all have our own personal philosophies around that, and I'd like to offer a little bit of context because it ties in greatly with the law of attraction and why it works, why it doesn't sometimes.
Yeah.
And I like looking at life as a fractal process. If you go to science, you'll see that almost everything in biology and nature is a fractal. It is a small. The smallest part contains all of the information of the whole. Whether it's DNA, whether it's different geometric shapes in nature. So if we look at the school system, if you were to go to school and you didn't know what school was about, you'd get frustrated.
Yeah.
Why am I being made to sit in this room all day? Why am I being made to study this information? Why do I get tests, and why am I marked against what I need to remember? It would be stressful.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you knew that you were at school because you were there to learn, then because you wanted your degree or you wanted to follow a path, then you'd understand. You'd have context for it.
Yeah, context. You want to go through the process because you kind of know there's an end result. Yes.
It doesn't mean to say that you still enjoy exams. It doesn't mean to say that you're not going to struggle. But you understand why you're there. And so if you apply that same principle to us here, I believe that we're in Earth School.
Earth School. Okay.
Now, why do I say that? It's not just a peak philosophy. You go to 400 million years of fossil records, and the overriding evidence shows that we're here to evolve.
Yes.
Now,
absolutely.
what does evolution mean? Evolution means that we're here to essentially become more and more expressions of complexity. Now, at a physical level, you look at a cell, and a single cell amoeba, and you look at a 50, 100 trillion cell human body. The difference that is required to make that happen is cooperation.
Cooperation. Yeah.
Now, the highest expression of cooperation is love. if your cells weren't cooperating right now, you'd be having a tough time.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. Cells, organs, everything. Yes.
Has to cooperate in perfect unity. Mm-hmm. So if we're here to essentially grow, we're here to evolve. Now, physically, we've evolved, you can see how that works, but emotionally, spiritually, to develop and evolve emotionally means that we really have to grow up and become higher expressions of cooperation, ultimately love.
Yes, absolutely.
And you do that in an environment that challenges you. Yeah, the physical body grows in the gym, yeah, or it grows in McDonald's, but the wrong way.
The wrong way, yes.
Yeah. So if we're here to basically grow and become better expressions of ourselves, which is essentially what the fossil records are telling us, it's what every spiritual teacher or master is telling us.
Yes.
Then ultimately we're here to grow up. So if we're here to grow up, when it comes to law of attraction, most people are trying to attract things into their life that are there to take shortcuts. I want the easy life.
Yes.
And what we're really saying is, I don't want the challenges. But if go back to school, what we're really saying in school is, I want the answers to the exams. I want the cheat codes. I don't want to have to study.
Just get through the system. Yes.
But that's not why you're in school. Yeah, that's not why we're here. We're here to grow up, and we grow up through challenge. And that's why when people face adversity, a lot of the times they resist it rather than understand that there is always a lesson. And go to Napoleon Hill. Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit.
Yes.
Yeah. So now sometimes we use the law of attraction, and a lot of the times we get what we don't want. Now, why is that? Well, a couple of different reasons. When I say the universe is always listening, it's because you need to create what I call a strong broadcast signal.
Okay, strong broadcast signal, like a frequency.
Exactly.
Okay,
right? Yeah. And the human body has essentially two centers. It has a thinking center, intellect, and it has a feeling center, kind of a level of being. And most people live where? In the
mind.
In the thinking center.
Thinking, yes.
Yeah. So the brain puts out, a certain amount of microvolts that is very difficult to detect from a distance because it's a small amount of electrical power.
Wow.
Yeah, you can measure an EEG, an electroencephalogram on top of the brain from about 5 millimeters away. That's why you have to put the electrodes onto the skull.
Yeah.
But you can measure the electromagnetic field of the heart from 30 feet away.
Wow.
The heart's thousands of times more powerful than the brain.
It's amazing.
But in order to create a broadcast signal, you have to have the head and the heart aligned. Have to be working together. What we're calling coherence. Now, what aligns the heart and the mind faster than anything else? Unfortunately, it's fear. So most people are broadcasting a congruent signal based upon fear, which sends a message out of the universe, this is what I want.
Yes.
Even though the language says this is what I don't want. But the brain doesn't hear negation. The brain hears, drop the plate, don't drop the plate.
Yes. Yes.
So, most people are attracting stuff into their life because they have a sense of, broadcasting out what it is they don't want. Right? So, that's one aspect of why we have adversity, because we're attracting it.
Yes. So, you brought a lot of great points, because one journey that I'm on myself is aligning the mind and the heart. In fact, I feel a big part of my life was created based on being in my mind, thinking, just this logical masculine energy. However, I'm trying to explore the heart. So what is a way that I and perhaps some of the listeners can work from their hearts?
Well, I'll give you a metaphor for how they tie together, and then I'll talk about how to put that to work for you.
Yes.
So if you imagine, you go to one of the quarries, the big sort of quarries, and see one of the giant dumpsters, they're 30, 40 tons.
Yes.
You've got this tiny little guy in the cab and this massive machine. Well, the mind is essentially like the steering wheel. The heart is the engine.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people engage the mind, they set goals. I want to go here. Right? So they're sitting they're moving the steering wheel, but the engine isn't on.
Yes.
The heart is the power. But if you're following your heart without taking your brain with you, without having some level of coherent plan, then it's like turning the engine and letting the truck go, but without anybody at the wheel.
Risky.
You're going to move, but you're going to go everywhere, right?
Yes.
So most people try to get what they want just using their mind. And that takes a lot of work.
Okay.
It's a state of being that I call in buy me mode. And I'll give the audience and the listeners something which I think is a great framework to understand that. And we're getting through a lot of information here, so I'm
yes.
keen to try to add as much value as I can in the time that we've got. But I think you'll find this quite useful.
Okay.
Einstein said something many years ago, very smart guy. He said that you can't solve a problem at the same level of thinking that created the problem.
Love that quote. Yes. Yes.
And it sounds great, it sounds intelligent, but how do you actually apply that practically? What's the same level of thinking? What he meant was the same level of consciousness.
Consciousness, yes. Like in a sense, if I'm very angry and I'm trying to solve a problem in my life, I'm going to look at it through the lens of anger as opposed to being peaceful, loving, more clear.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, different levels of consciousness. How do you delineate that other than just emotion?
Yes, yes.
So I tend to break it into 4 levels to make it easy to understand, a framework.
Yes.
The lowest level of consciousness, and this is where a lot of people operate from, unfortunately, is what I call the level of to me. And the mantra goes like this, if you recognize this or anybody you know. I would have the job that I want, I would have the life of my dreams, I would meet the right person, but everything happens to me.
Sounds like victimhood.
It is the victimhood mentality.
Got it. Okay.
And unfortunately, that's, again, you're broadcasting fear, you're broadcasting negativity, and you show more of it up in your life, because that's not why we're here.
Yes.
The next level, where most people progress to after that, is saying, well, you know something? I'm tired of sitting there expecting life to owe me a living. I figured out that isn't going to work. Victim means I experience a life of more victim. So I'm going to, if I am going to make things happen, if I am going to get my goals, it's going to happen by me. And you move from to me to by me.
To me, by me. Yes.
By me is the achiever mentality. It's the classic domain of personal growth. Go get them, cowboy. Set your goals. Massive action, desire, persistence, all of that stuff.
Yes.
And the challenge with that is, while it's far better and far more preferable than to me and sitting there complaining at life, it's hard work.
Yes.
It's exhausting.
Hustling and burning the candles. Yeah.
You're trying to essentially grab the world by its throat and bend it into shape so it fits the pictures of what you think you want.
Yes.
And the second you grab anything by the throat, it tends to resist.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would imagine.
But it does play a role. I say it's infinitely preferable to the to me mentality. And so what have you got to do to get from to me to by me? What have you got to give up? What have you got to replace it with?
Well, responsibility.
Replace blame with responsibility, and you can move quickly from victim mode to achiever mode. But until you let go of blaming, and blame doesn't work anywhere in life, then you're never going to have a sense of being able to take on that responsibility to move forward, because you're always pointing fingers outwards, not inwards. Yes. But there's another level past by me, and that's where the quote behind it, when you let go, life will just flow. How do you get into that state? Because many people in by me would much rather have life flow with them than against them. Yes. See, being in by me is like swimming upstream. I'm going to get my goal. I'm going to go for it.
It's exhausting.
It's completely. But to get into through me is where life just unfolds effortlessly. Wow. You still got to do stuff. This isn't like meditating on checks in the mail. That'll just bring an eviction notice. You've still got to take action. Yes. But if you give up the need for control, which a lot of people don't like doing, and you replace it with a sense of trust, belief, or knowing, you can start moving out of by me into through me. Wow. And it's really about then understanding that there's a bigger picture. We're part of something far more intelligent than our mind. The intelligence behind what set this game up, you can't question. Yes. And if you think it's just an explosion in a neutron star that came up with this, then you're in Disneyland. So, getting into through me is really where most people today in personal growth are looking to go, and that's where the law of attraction tends to dangle the carrot. Just focus on what you want; it'll flow into you. Well, there's a few more steps to take than just than putting it out there. But there is another level, and that is the level of what I call as me. As me, okay. And that's really where the spiritual masters kind of arrived at and taught from. And that's really where you see yourself in me, you see yourself in the floor, in everything. There is no separation. Duality essentially dissolves. And to get there from through me, you've got to give up the illusion of separateness. and replace it with unconditional love. Now, that's not a destination for most people because we're not all here to be spiritual saints and masters.
Yes.
We're here to do the best we can and just move to the next level.
But I'm curious, let's say 7.5 billion people on this planet, and for those that want to go to the through me, what is it, like a very small percentage, 0.01%?
It's progressive.
Yeah.
We all come in at the level we're at.
Oh, yes.
And the important point to note here, AJ, is that it's not correlated to age. Chronological maturity is not the same as emotional or spiritual maturity. And I think we all know that there's a lot of emotional teenagers running around in adult bodies. As I was for many years, and so being able to understand that we're all on our own journey. We all come in at the level we're at. Now, there's no spiritual ego here about what's better or worse or more superior or significant. What's better, a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old? Well, neither.
Yeah.
What's better, a big tree or a small tree? Well, neither. They're just at different levels of their, or different stages of the levels they have of expressing their potential. And so, first step, be okay where you're at. If your job sucks, be okay with the fact that your job sucks. Because resisting your current circumstances is the glue that keeps you tied to them. And most people resist. They broadcast their heart and their mind are completely in alignment that their job sucks. They walk around telling everyone their job sucks, and what do they get more of? Evidence that their job sucks. Celebrate the fact that you have a job and therefore it's a stepping stone en route to something much greater that you're excited about moving towards, whatever that may be. And you start letting go of the angst and the disappointment around your job and start opening yourself up to possibilities to step beyond that. But you can't do that if you're too busy complaining.
Yes.
So having a congruent sense of knowing what you want, celebrating that wherever I'm at, everything in my life that's happened so far has brought me to the perfect place. And right now I have a choice where to go next. That's an empowering sense rather than dragging the past with you, complaining and resisting about what has already happened, which is futile. And it's a lot more freeing because you free up the energy of resistance and you can now put it into something as a better choice. If you spilt the milk, you can't moan at the fact that the milk is spilt. You can't change the fact that the milk is spilt. Take that energy and start applying it into how to clean up the milk, rather than sit there and complain for the next 2 hours that you ruined your carpet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sense?
Yeah, it seems like, because going on that quote, one of the reasons why I have it in my fireplace is because it feels like when I'm more in a state of acceptance and just letting go, life does flow. As you mentioned, like the spilled milk example, entire bottle of milk spills. I accept the fact that the milk is spilled and it happened, so I'm going to take care of it, as opposed to bitching and moaning and saying I spend the next hour cleaning it, all these crevices have milk in them. What am I, that's just wasting energy. And it's kind of like, if my car, a tree falls on it, I'll have to accept it. And of course, there's going to be a little bit of anger, a little of a disappointment. I have an expectation, it's crushed. But as soon as I realize what is happening, I bring myself back into the present moment and say, well, I accept this is happening. And I just say, this is a chapter in my story, essentially.
And you bring up a great point there, AJ, because again, it's not about being a Zen master.
Yeah.
And saying, I'll never get angry if a tree falls on my car.
Untouched for anything, yeah.
It's about how long does it take me to unhook. And it's about taking that time period and working on bringing it down. If 2 years ago, somebody would come up in the street and cut you up in traffic and shout at you, it may be that somebody would have been hooked for the next hour. Maybe they do some personal growth. Maybe they start having a context for the fact that that they can't change what has happened.
Yes.
So next time it happens, it's 30 minutes. Gets to a point where somebody cuts them up and they may be upset for 5 minutes. And it may get to a point where something like that doesn't bother you. Send the guy love because he clearly needs to get to work faster than you do. So it's not about saying, oh, I'm going to beat myself up if I don't master this Zen-like mentality of like saying, oh crap, I just spilt the milk. That's the last thing in the world I need. That wasn't my outcome. I've got guests coming around. How long does it take you to unhook? Because if you're what I call sleeping awake, if you're walking around and you don't have domain over your emotions, but they have control over you, you're going to have a very different quality of life than what's available. And it takes work. But guess what? We're in Earth School.
Yes.
Yeah, we're here to learn. Yeah, and doesn't mean to say you can't be happy. Yeah, but the purpose of life, and I really want the audience to get this, the purpose of life is not to be happy. This is where I disagree with the Dalai Lama. Yeah, and I've met the guy, and he's hilarious, and he's great, and I love him to bits. But the purpose of life is not to be happy. All right? The purpose of life is to grow and evolve. Now, let's go to school as the example. Is the purpose of school to be happy?
No.
No. Does that mean to say you can't be happy in school?
Yes. You shouldn't expect it.
Yeah, but you can still be happy in school.
Yes.
But that's not the purpose.
Uh-huh.
The purpose of school is to provide an environment where you can make better choices in relationship to your education. And you can choose to skip class and go party and drink beer, or you can choose to dedicate yourself and move forward and study. And both of those paths will have a different outcome when it comes to graduation.
Yes.
But the purpose of school is not to be happy, but you can be happy going through that. The purpose in life is not to be happy, but that doesn't mean to say we can't be happy going through Earth School, where we're here to grow up and become higher expressions of love. Because all happiness is, and if the audience want a tip on more happiness in their life, I'll give it to you. I'm
sure that's the question right now, because I'm curious too. Give us some love if you want some more happiness. That's the question.
Well, happiness is nothing more than a byproduct of thinking happy thoughts. Case closed.
Case closed.
Don't complicate it.
Yes.
Right? Happiness, or the emotions that we experience of joy and happiness, etc., are the consequences of the chemicals and the neuropeptides that are produced when we think happy thoughts. Every thought produces a chemical. People sometimes miss that fact. And if you think happy thoughts, you're going to flood your body with oxytocin, you're going to flood it with dopamine, serotonin, and you're going to feel good as a result. We call that an emotion.
Yes.
If you start thinking, oh crap, I'm stressed and all of the rest of it, and you're going to start putting cortisol into your body, you're going to start releasing adrenaline, and you're going to start having a very different what we call emotional reaction as those chemicals and hormones flood through the body. And so if you want happiness, happiness is nothing more than a byproduct of thinking happy thoughts. So as human beings, we're not designed to be happy all of the while. Right? I didn't want to be happy at my mother's funeral. But I was fulfilled. There was no unfinished conversation. She was out of pain. There was a sense of calm, peace, and letting go. And for anyone that's ever lost a parent, you need to understand that it's the goal. It's every parent's wish that their children outlive them. Yes. We just never get to choose when, and it's always too soon. So, but I didn't want to be happy. That was a different emotion. There was a groundedness. There was grieving. Of course, there was sadness. That's normal. But the purpose of life is to experience a range of different emotions and hopefully live more on the happier end of town than the frustrated fear end of town. That's called feedback. The purpose of life is not to be happy, but if you are happier going through life, you're getting feedback that you're doing something right.
Yes.
It's a consequence. So, joy, I also believe, is a natural state for no reason. A natural state is joy. Why wouldn't it be? We're here in Earth School. We get to live in a time in human history where our ancestors have dreamed about for a millennia, or more. And we get to do things that even our grandparents would never have been able to dream. Our parents never been able to dream. And so gratitude at that level is a very easy fast track to being able to appreciate more stuff, to allow you to think happier thoughts in order to create a better experience going through Earth School. Make sense? Makes
sense. And I was just thinking about the state of enlightenment, right? Do you feel that it's possible to be in a state of enlightenment, this peace that is unaffected by anything, joy, whatever enlightenment is for different people?
We're getting through to essentially what I touched on in terms of asming. The high states of spiritual awareness where duality tends to dissolve. And this is where the Buddha differed a little from Jesus. Jesus essentially taught unconditional love. The Buddha taught enlightenment.
Enlightenment, yes.
And he said it was the end of suffering. He was essentially talking about it was the end of separation. And you talk to anybody that's had a near-death experience, and what do they feel? And in a beautiful sense of oneness returning to love. It's consistent throughout virtually every single experience that people come back and talk about. So, enlightenment, I don't think we're here to be enlightened, because I think that's the graduation on Earth School, which means we don't have to come back. We go on to college at that point, wherever that may be. But we're here to learn and evolve and grow, and I'm certainly not enlightened. Yeah, I may have moments where I glimpse as me in certain meditations, and it's beautiful. But I'm still in kindergarten. As we all are on our journey.
I just wanted to touch upon another interview earlier today. A gentleman had an experience with a psychedelic, ayahuasca, plant medicine, and he was saying the same thing, the same as me feeling one with the universe. So what is your take on these plant medicines generating the as me feeling rapidly without near death or deep meditation?
Great question. Here's where something like ayahuasca can be useful. Yeah? If you don't have a belief or a reference that there is something bigger in terms of the metaphysical aspect of life, you think that you're a materialist, determinist, and you think that this is all there is. You die, that's it, and there's nothing beyond it. Why should I meditate? All of that kind of stuff. Ayahuasca can be a very good practical experience that gives you a glimpse of something that's a much, much bigger reality. Now, if you then decide that, I just want to do ayahuasca to keep getting that experience rather than doing the work of raising your own consciousness, it becomes a fall down, in my opinion. Very similar. Let's go to the gym of life. If you had a belief that you can't grow muscles and therefore you're never going to go to the gym because that was your belief. If you took steroids and your muscles grew, and that changed your belief, which says, okay, now I know my muscles can grow, I'm going to go to the gym and lift the weights and do the work, then okay, steroids at that point served a useful purpose in that regard.
Yes.
But if you then say, I don't need to go to the gym, I can just take steroids and take a shortcut, then you're on a different path. It's not why we're here.
Yes.
We're here to lift the weights. So, ayahuasca can offer a fast track, so you don't have to spend 20 years on a mountain to be able to understand some of the deeper understandings and messages of the universe. But it's such a powerful spirit molecule. I mean, dimethyltryptamine is the most powerful hallucinogenic known to man.
Yes.
So if you have a situation where you're constantly going there because it's recreational, I've got news for you. Mother Ayahuasca is going to kick your ass. She's going to give you a message that this isn't to play with. If it's there because you're seeking with a pure intent, a higher level of message,
more,
and you're willing to do the work beyond that than just taking the quick fix, then ayahuasca can certainly play a role in helping to facilitate your spiritual growth.
Do you feel this plant medicine is just causing a chemical reaction in the brain and there's a hallucination? Or do you feel it's really taking away a filter of reality and we are connecting with something beyond the human body?
You bring up a great question, and this is, where do you want me to start? I have compassion almost for materialists. And this is the fundamental question that is just, to me, is so blatantly obvious. Because the one aspect that science has never been able to reconcile under traditional Newtonian physics is consciousness. That 13-letter word that eludes most people, and most traditional scientists are still working with the outdated, never provable, in my opinion, paradigm that the brain creates consciousness. No, it doesn't. It never has, never will. And very similar to a television doesn't create programs. It is a
beacon for like a frequency, like a television?
Yes, consciousness is primary.
Okay.
We are living in a biocentric experience. And for people to think that the outer world is separate from us, and the atoms and molecules and the universe created, and this is why I can't take material scientists literally, seriously. I mean, all due respect to them, they're so belief blinded. That they've been living in a Newtonian paradigm, or initially from the church being the primary truth provider for mankind for many centuries. 400 years ago, we start through with Copernicus leading into Galileo, then we ended up in Newton, and all of a sudden, by observation, what Sir Isaac and his contemporaries did was find ourselves living inside a giant Swiss watch. And through observation, they were able to deduce the physical rule sets that govern matter. And that translates into the three primary sciences of physics, biology, chemistry.
Yes.
excuse me. So, but the mentality of that is that it's a deterministic universe. You give me all of the planets and stars and moons and molecules, and I know mathematically where they will be forever because I've got the rule set. But it didn't understand why was there a Swiss watch in the first place that we're living in? What is time? How does it relate? And they took consciousness out of the picture. So what they failed to understand is that consciousness itself is the only vehicle that we have to look at the physical world with. Or how do you know that the universe is separate? You can never prove that because the only way you can measure anything is if you're consciously aware of it.
Yes.
So they can never even stand on the basis of their own hypothesis. Plus, their mantra is like, hey, look, give us one free miracle and we'll explain why we don't need any more. What do I mean? Well, the universe started from a primordial atom that exploded into reality from nothing, right? That created all of these rules and mathematics and formula and everything else. So, we can't explain that in science, but we'll ignore that. We'll just say that it just happened. So give us that free miracle and we'll tell you why you don't need any more. I mean, guys, come on, wake up.
Yeah.
Consciousness is primary, and the entire aspect of digital physics now is coming to that conclusion. We're in a virtual-based reality. And if you want to look at some of the great scientists and physicists that are coming to that conclusion, mathematically, not through some conceptual idea, I'm talking the fact that it just does better physics and better equations to explain quantum mechanics. Go study people like Tom Campbell, who wrote the book My Big Toe. Incredible, excuse me, incredible model of reality that builds on Einstein and really essentially displays a working model of a big theory of everything. And Einstein himself, just before he died, turned around to the world and said, look, I've spent the last 27 years at Princeton trying to come up with a unifying theory that took into account space-time, and he couldn't do it because of one thing called consciousness. And his pretty much last letter, and I'm paraphrasing, said, look, we have to start again. It has to sidestep material reality to come up with a grand unifying theory. I just don't know where to start. And the reason was Einstein didn't have the references. Today, we understand virtual reality.
Yes.
If you're playing a virtual reality game, where's the player? Well, the character's on the screen, but where's the player? The player's outside of the computer.
Yes.
The player in the screen, let's say, to use one of Tom Campbell's metaphors, the elf in the world of Warcraft could never have any conceptual understanding of the person holding the joystick.
Yes, completely different dimension.
Or who wrote the code, or what the hardware is. No. We are living in a virtual reality, but you'll never be able to understand where is the player that's playing this body? Consciousness. It's not in the physical world. It's outside of the screen that we're living in this 3D holographic universe. Okay,
so in the world of Warcraft, any video game, you have the player, then you have the person who's controlling the joystick.
Correct.
So is it one consciousness per the player, or is it a unified consciousess for every single being?
Well, we are individual expressions of consciousness.
Yeah.
But let me give you an analogy that can bring it together. We talk about the human body, 50 to 150 trillion cells, depending on how much you've eaten. If you're a big guy or not. So you take the blood cells. Let's dive into the bloodstream. Now you've got, look at you and I individually. Different shades, different backgrounds, born at different times. We've got different life paths and different jobs to do. We'll probably die at different times as well. But we're sitting here in front of your audience, and we have a sense of individuality. That's AJ, and this is the being known as Peter.
Yes.
Right? So go into the bloodstream. You have two blood cells, a red blood cell and a lymphocyte white blood cell. Both meet in the bloodstream. Both different colours, born at different times, different jobs to do. If they were to meet, they'd have a sense of individuality, a sense of separation.
Yes.
But us, we chunk up. We see them as part of a much bigger organism called a body. We don't throw a funeral every time a blood cell dies.
Correct.
What if you and I, as individual expressions of consciousness, were just individual blood cells in the universal body of consciousness? See, that makes sense to me. I can relate that. Why? Because the body is a fractal expression of that. So, but how do we explain life without consciousness. Well, there is no life without consciousness. If you think that the universe exists outside of you, in terms of you can never prove otherwise. You can never prove that because you need consciousness to measure it. That the basis for materialism is fundamentally flawed to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But consciousness makes everything linked together. And if we're projecting this game from a higher place, outside of the screen and the video game, the World of Warcraft, we're outside of it. The consciousness is outside. What happens when the elf dies? What happens when this body dies? Well, the player doesn't die. You don't die if your elf dies.
Yeah.
What happens? You go play another game.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's profound. One thing that came up a lot is something that I've been researching, which is simulation theory. Mm-hmm. That we are living in a simulation, and there's a lot of different ways to break it down. But how would simulation theory play into all this if that was a possibility?
It's almost a fundamental impossibility for it not to be real.
Yeah.
This is a simulated universe. How do we know that? Because it's computed. It's mathematical. They found computer code in the DNA of plants. Give me a break.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Everything that operates in the physical world operates under mathematical law. Now that sounds pretty much like a computer to me.
Yes.
It's computed.
Mm-hmm.
Who came up with the code? Well, prior to science, the world called that God, because they didn't have an expression for it. So what did? We projected our own anthropomorphic ideals onto what that God should or shouldn't be. And how do we do that? We do it as human beings. We make stuff up. You go back a few thousand years, AJ, and when it rained, we wondered why. Was it God that was angry, so he was crying? Or was he sending us a gift to refill the rivers? We don't know. So what do? We make stuff up. Now
Try to
today,
make sense of it.
That's right. That's what the human beings do. Mm-hmm. We've got this inbuilt thirst for knowledge to try and have resolution, which is why most people can't live in the space of a question and can't deal with uncertainty. Right? But right now, you and I have a good understanding as human beings in the 21st century of evaporation, precipitation, gravitation. We understand what rain is. Now, still means it can ruin your barbecue or ruin your hairdo if you come out of the salon, but we don't look up and get scared anymore. We have a context for understanding. Now, what the simulation hypothesis does, it gives a context for understanding our role in this game. If we are in a simulation, and let's have a look. The intelligence that has put this together, you can't argue with. I mean, when you can go make a bee sting or a rose petal, give me a call. I mean, nature is so intelligent. The intelligence that set that up. And you can personify it in the master programmer as God, or you can create, whatever label do you want. And the challenge is when you bring religion into it, and I don't want to be disrespectful of any religions here at all, but people then start to take a position of attack and defend. Especially at a low level of consciousness, because they feel that their right to impose their model of the world on everybody else in the world gives them the right to argue and defend and attack. Right? Low level of kindergarten mentality. Sorry. So but whatever label you want to call it, I call it life with a capital L. You want to call it God, nature,
universe,
evolution, the universe, infinite intelligence, to quote Napoleon Hill, the Force if you're a Star Wars fan like I am, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Life.
It's labels.
Yes, okay,
And let's just be aware that the mind is a labeling machine. All it does, it creates something that we can put onto something that allows us to conceptually try to understand it. It's the best we can do. That's why when you walk out into the park and you got your kid and the kid says, "Oh, is that a tree?" You say, "No, it's not a tree. That's what we call a tree."
Yes.
You can't just take a four-letter word and stick it onto this majestic expression of nature and think, now I understand it. It's not a tree. It's a mind label that we put on it to try to get our head around it so that we don't understand this incredible expression of nature. And we do that with so many things. You talk about energy. What is energy? It's a mind label. Simon, you said about, does the brain create it through imagination? What is imagination? Science can't explain that. It's a label, but drill down. You can't explain it.
Even gravity, you can't grasp it. It's not tangible.
Not at all. In fact, you can't even measure gravity. Right? You can only measure the effects of gravity. Right? There's this invisible field that governs everything that we just take for granted. Why? Because we can see evidence of it. Well, what about consciousness? We see evidence of that every waking moment, and we see evidence of it when we go to sleep. Your dreams are completely real for you when you're in them. Right? Everything's there. what happens? Oh, ask a scientist. Oh, well, the brain creates some, other game. No, your consciousness is letting go of the data stream in this physical reality and tapping into a data stream in a different reality. Right? But just like you leave your elf on screen, he's not doing anything, but you come back, you move the joystick, everything's exactly where it is. You wake up, the game's exactly where it was before you left.
Yes.
Yeah. But the simulation hypothesis, I say, digital physics, Tom Campbell. I mean, if you want to research that, he's the leading edge.
You mentioned him. Yes.
But the simulation hypothesis as a documentary it's on YouTube. It's free. Go check it out.
Okay.
It's almost embarrassing as a material scientist right now to try to defend material science. Quantum mechanics came along in 1929 and threw a bowling ball into that with Niels Bohr and Einstein, Max Planck, all the game. Yeah, they knew then. And what did material scientists do? They said, "Oh, that's weird. We can't explain it. We'll ignore it."
Yeah.
But to do good science means this. It means you're open-minded to move your hypothesis to best fit the data, not ignore data that doesn't fit your hypothesis so you can still stand on it. And that's what most scientists in the material world do. And to quote Max Planck, bless him, I think it's a case of, he said that science progresses one funeral at a time.
Wow.
Because the old dogma and the old guard has to die out before they let their death grip go of this material science that we now know doesn't really stack up.
One thing I was thinking a lot about was if perhaps this was a simulation, this was a big video game that we're in, the first thing that came to mind was if there was a hack or a cheat code to amplify the simulation to become the person with the highest score, what would that be?
Great question, and this brings us right back to what we're talking about in terms of like law of attraction.
Law of attraction.
How do you hack the virtual reality, rule set, which governs material world?
Yes.
And people will call that synchronicity, manifestation, law of attraction. There's many different labels that we put out to try and explain paranormal events.
Yeah.
And again, the reason paranormal is not accepted in science is not because it doesn't exist. It's because they won't publish it. Anything that doesn't fit the traditional Newtonian paradigm won't be published. You go to Princeton. Again, Einstein spent the last 20 or 30 years of his life there. They know how to do good science. You go to the Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Center, Pear Labs, and they have statistical data that shows you that you can hack the rule set. Right? That paranormal is not only normal, but is predictable. And when you see it from that side, and you use the perfect metaphor, how do you get the cheat codes? Because you can't do it from within the game. You've got to go to the superset. This is a subset. Physically, it's a subset. You go to the superset.
Higher level.
Well, what's the superset? Consciousness. So how do you access that? By raising your consciousness. Why are we here to win the game? Well, what is the game? Here's what the game isn't. The game isn't who can earn the most money, who can accumulate the most toys. All of that score gets eradicated at the end of your game.
True. Yes.
Who can become the highest expression of love? That's a different game. That's the game we're here to play.
Who could become the highest expression of love? That's the game you want to play. Yeah.
That's the game we are playing. That's why Earth School, in my opinion, was created. Virtual realities don't just pop out of nothing. It takes a lot of time, effort, intelligence, resources to create this reality. From a primordial atom, or what is a primordial atom? The Big Bang Theory. What does it remind you of? If you have nothing, a quantum state of superposition possibility, and all of a sudden, before the computer's turned on, where does World of Warcraft exist on that computer before it's turned on?
Well, microchips, it has to be activated somehow.
It doesn't exist in actuality, but it exists in possibility because all the work has been pre-done.
Yes.
What has to happen to actualize that? Somebody has to push a power button, have a massive influx of power that then suddenly explodes out of nothing into a reality that we see on the screen. Kind of sounds like the Big Bang to me.
Yes. Wow. Oh, okay. It's very powerful. Yes.
Logical.
So
how do you hack the cheat codes? Through consciousness. You raise your level of consciousness. You become higher expressions of love by letting go of fear, insecurity, jealousy, judgment, anger, apathy, guilt, shame, all of that stuff. right? And every spiritual teacher, every spiritual master taught the same thing. Yeah, same books, different covers. And become more loving, more peaceful, more accepting, more tolerant, more higher expressions of unconditional love. Now, that doesn't mean to say that you sit back and become a pussy. That doesn't mean to say you sit back and have somebody come and take your furniture or raid your village. No. There's a time where you have to take a stand. Jesus got angry. Tipped over tables in the market and stomped his, threw his toys out of the pram. There's a time where that's appropriate. But if it runs you, like I was saying earlier with the emotions, then you're emotionally immature. But if you become a higher expression of love, then you start to win the game. Life starts to flow. Now let's go back to the comparison of Earth School. Right? Most people, unfortunately, at a lower level of consciousness, only learn through pain. Or they learn more through pain than they do pleasure. Sometimes we need the slap around the face from life to get our attention. And that could be second failed marriage, third mild heart attack, second failed business, whatever it may be. We need that to wake us up, to get our attention, to start changing our lifestyle, to become more of a high level of expression of who we are, our potential. The higher you start to resonate, the more open you are to learning from not needing the kick in the pants. So when you raise your consciousness, you become more loving, less judgmental, more compassion, less judgment. Life tends to flow because it doesn't need to slap you around the face to get your attention. I just want to share an experience that just came up just thinking about this, because in the past, I thought I was attracting a lot of bad luck. I was getting into car accidents, and my house got burglarized, I had a house fire, I had all these negative situations, parking tickets, just all these bad things were happening to me. And I just felt like, I'm attracting all these negative things. And I was working really hard, had a hard time making money, was always losing money. And throughout the years of just having all this pain, all these challenges, I started to shift. And somewhere along the line, things started to change. Whereas instead of these negative things happening, good things were happening. Losing money, financial abundance was the opposite. I was starting to get opportunities. And thankfully, it's been many, many years since I've had a car accident or even a ticket. And I'm like, whoa, what shifted? And a lot of times people will say, people that are close to me, they'll say, wow, what happened to you? Because you seem like a different person. Your life is different. And can you teach me what you're doing? Because I want more of that too. I'm having a hard time in my life. And a lot of stuff you're saying right now is really correlated towards all those shifts occurring. You grew up. Outer world follows inner world. And it may be that, life with a capital L is so smart. If you'd have got all of that financial abundance without the level of emotional maturity, you may be found in a hotel room in Vegas, or you may have gone off on a completely different path.
100%.
There's 100%. A reason we don't leave loaded 9mm in playgrounds, right? Kids don't have or brand new computers, and you won't give your 3-year-old a brand new MacBook Air. Why? Because they don't have the emotional maturity to be able to work with it. So now you do have financial abundance. Now you do have a sense of higher calling.
Yes.
You're able to use your resources to help others.
Yes.
Which back then it was probably more about you and what you could get, not what you could give.
Great distinction. Yes.
So life's not going to give you that. It's going to keep giving you the lesson. It's what I call the rumble strip. If you drive down the freeway, you're trying to keep straight, and there's the rumble strip either side that's there to wake you up if you go off track. Now, that's great. What most people are doing, they're driving down the freeway of life, and they're listening to their music, and it's all about them, and they're trying to get their goals, and it's they're egocentric, and it's selfish, and it's all that kind of stuff. And let's say you drift off track, or you're eating at McDonald's instead of Whole Foods or whatever it may be, and you start to drift off track, and you hit the rumble strip. And again, that could be a mild heart attack. It could be the love of your life finally quits and walks out or has an affair. It could be that you lose your business, or your main customer walks away, whatever it may be. It's a rumble strip. Now, what do most people do when that happens? Right? They're there listening to their music, having a good time, all of a sudden, life's telling you're heading towards the edge. You need to get back on track. What do most people do? They complain and they bitch about the rumble strip, and they say, I was listening to my music and now I can't hear it because I've got this noise. They turn the radio off.
Yes. Ignoring the signs.
you know, and the sides have a tendency to, get more progressive. Yeah, and if you're lucky enough to have a second heart attack and still be alive, or a stroke or whatever it may be, or have a business that doesn't put you into poverty or require, then your responsibility is to come back, because life will tap you on the shoulder, and if you don't listen, it'll slap you around the face, and then if you don't listen again, it may just push you off the verge. It's always giving feedback. And I said the universe is always listening.
Yes.
And it's always giving feedback.
And as you raise your consciousness, you have a deeper sensitivity to the feedback.
You do, and it doesn't mean to say you don't get lessons. The fact we're here in Earth School means we're here, on a journey. But the lessons become higher quality, higher caliber. And expect a graduation event. If you think you know something, I listen to AJ's podcast, and now if a car falls on my tree, if I get a parking ticket, I'm going to be zen. Well, you may walk around knowing that here, and what's life going to do to test you? So at the end of school, you get an exam.
Yes.
Now, if you pass the exam, what happens? You go to the next year, and the questions are harder, and they're meant to be. If you fail the exam, you go resit the exam. And that may be another relationship, or another challenge. Maybe different questions. You don't get the same questions in the exam. That'd be too easy, right? But the same lessons you need to learn. So, graduation. I had a graduation event last year. I was involved in a business deal. I was arguing in court with a major multinational. Note to self: don't pick a fight with Hewlett-Packard. They have more money. And they spun a contempt of court application, and out of nowhere, I find myself as the only non-criminal in Britain's toughest jail for nearly 6 months. Lost my business, lost everything.
Crazy story,
And I remember when it looked as if it was going the wrong way, because I didn't give this time. I thought it'll be laughed out of court in 5 minutes. I honestly underestimated how the court system operates. I needed the lesson. And there was a lot of my ego in there as well, which was also a lesson I needed to learn. But I remember when it looked as if it was going the wrong way, and I found out about, it's not right or wrong in court, and I'm sure some listeners and viewers have actually had this experience. It's who can hire the best storytellers, I turned around to my fiance and I said, honey, if I end up going away, she said, well, what do we do? I says, well, I'm very grateful that there's a lot of people around the world that have been exposed to my work that have benefited, but there's probably a lot of people that could benefit that never get access to it. Especially in places like, one of the toughest jails in Europe, which is Pentonville. If life wants to put me in there so that I can go help people, let it do it. And I never for 1 second went in with the identity of a prisoner. I went in with the identity of being a secret agent of change.
Wow.
And I got to be honest, I had an absolutely incredible adventure. I had an amazing time. Yeah, there was tough times, but on the whole, I had the most phenomenal experience of my life. Wouldn't swap a second.
Yeah, I was reading in your book just the things you were sharing, and I was like, wow, this is a situation that could crumble a person.
It's a graduation.
Down to their knees. Yeah,
it's a graduation.
Just give up and just go off into obscurity.
And that was available. It's a choice.
Yeah, it's a choice. Yeah,
we're born in this game with free will, and every one of us has the option to express free will however we choose. Now, the amount of options we get are determined on our situation. For example, if you're in jail, you have far less decisions that you're able to make, but whatever decisions you can make, you still have free will to make them.
Yes.
And all choices carry consequences. Now, if you're out of jail and you have, let's say, or you have more money rather than less money, you have more choices that you can make to express your free will.
Yes.
But, money's a magnifier. If you're tight, money will make you more mean. If you're generous, more money will make you more generous. Money is just a magnifier right, of where you're at in your level of consciousness. But you have free will. So if somebody comes up to me and calls me an a-hole, right? So you have no right to say that. Well, actually they do, because they have free will. And they have every right on how to express that free will as they wish. Now, I have every right on how I choose to use my free will to respond. I can punch them in the face, or I can ask questions, say, dude, you having a bad day? What's up? Yeah, but everybody has their right to free will, and sometimes we forget that. The challenge is when our emotions hijack us, and therefore we don't have free will, we have emotional expression through anger, fear, rage, whatever it may be. And we all do dumb stuff when we're angry. Physiological reason for that, by the way. Or fearful. Because when we go into fear, the brain will actually squeeze out the blood from the frontal cortex and push it into the limbic brain, into the rear brain.
Wow.
Because if we're faced with something fearful, we don't want critical thinking, we want reflex.
Reflex, yeah.
Because if someone's about to attack me, I don't want to have critical thinking about, oh, they go, that left hook looks as if it's coming in at an angle of 40, 60, too late, I'm punched, right?
It's like a primal instinct.
Primal instinct, so you go off reflex, you don't think, you don't want the critical factor taking up resources, and you want to work off instinct. And any martial artist will tell you that the true martial artists aren't people that know how better ways to punch and kick people, they just work off instinct. There's no critical thinking, they bypass that and work off reflex. So, but if we're fearful, intelligence plummets. Yeah, cortisol rises, intelligence, IQ drops. That's why we've all done dumb stuff when we're scared or angry. Yeah.
Well, it's one thing I want to touch upon is just I was just thinking about even doing this interview or public speaking. A lot of this is spontaneous. We're just going with the flow. And when we were first starting out, oftentimes we'd have this sense of nervousness or slow to answer questions, and we would need notes and so much structure. So when you're in a spontaneous improvisation situation and you're just flowing in front of the room or on camera, is there fear involved? Is that a part of, moving back to the limbic part of the brain, or is that something else?
Let's go back to quantum mechanics. Yeah, we are both wave. Remember the heart, electromagnetic field.
Yes.
Yeah, and we are particle, physical matter.
Yes.
Yeah, we're both. But consciousness is the bridge between the two. Now, when we're fearful, we move away from being wave, we collapse our energy field, you can measure it, and you become more particle. Why? Because if there's something fearful, it means there's something in the game zone, in reality, that needs our attention, either a tiger about to attack us or a car about to step out in front of, whatever it may be.
Fight or flight, yeah.
So it collapses our connection to the quantum field, and it brings us more into physical matter. Now, when we're in physical matter, we can only use our critical thinking. So our brain and the thoughts and our memories and everything else, the mind can only make a new house out of existing bricks, right? Which means it can only rearrange the data it has into new patterns. It's got a fixed palette with which to paint.
Okay.
But the ultimate source of intelligence comes from the quantum field. Now, how do we know that? Well, go look at the people that created the world we live in. People like Einstein, Alexander Bell, James Watt, Nikola Tesla. All of them said the same thing. All of their greatest inventions that have changed humanity in the 21st century came from them not sitting there trying to think with their brain, shuffling the bricks around or mixing the paint colors. No. The new bricks, the new house design, the new inspirational colors came from a state of quiet self-repose. In other words, lowering fear, relaxing the body, expanding their connection to the quantum field, and then the information started flooding in. So you go on stage and you really want to serve the people, you have to get out of fear. Now, what is the fear that most people usually come up with? Well,
fear of being judged, or what if they think of me? What if I screw up?
Collectively, what I call goop.
Okay.
Yeah, G-O-O-P. Most people spend their life swimming in goop, the good opinion of other people.
Yes.
Right, and goop is a nasty, sticky substance you don't want to get stuck in. Right? And so, what does that link back to? It linked back to the primary fear that every human being has, which is the fear we're not enough.
Not enough, yeah.
Not good enough, not rich enough, not tall enough, short enough, whatever it is, fill in the blank. Yeah? If you don't have a blank to fill in, it's because your ego is playing hide and seek with reality. Right? So the primary fear is the fear that we're not enough, and therefore we won't be loved. And that's because we're here to love.
Yes.
We're here to be a love machine, and deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah? And again, coming back to love, I've just got to touch on this point, AJ. Right? It should be so obvious. Why? Because let's call the intelligence, again, life, if you want to use God or being or nature or evolution, forget the label. I don't want to get caught up on or hooked up on labels here, it's not the game. But the intelligence that set this up could have set it up anyway. The master programmer could have programmed pretty much anything he wanted, right? So how do we create another human being? Because if Source could have set it up anyway, we could have pressed my fingernail and a kid pop out.
Yes.
Right? So the way that it is set up, clearly there's a purpose, and it's here to teach us something. You have masculine, feminine, you have to get together, you have to have cooperation. The highest expression of that is love. Now, at the lower levels of consciousness, as humanity evolved, we had some hormones and primal instincts, we call that lost,
Yes.
to help us out. But at the highest level, the way the game is set up is if we don't learn to cooperate, we go extinct.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, great point.
Is love not the answer?
Yeah.
I mean, it's staring at us from every angle.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great book. I think it was Noah Harari, Sapiens, and he was mentioning why Homo sapien, us humans, evolved far greater than chimps and other mammals that are, fairly intelligent, not too far away. And essentially what he found that humans, compared to animals, the fact that humans have a collective story where they could create a community and cooperate. This is a government. This is the United States. This is money. And from that cooperation, they created war. They created, okay, we're going to do this, take over, where it is a cooperative task to just even survive, right? Because even this house, there's just so many moving pieces to the builder and the electricity and the gas and everything.
You make a great point, and it actually again ties into what the virtual reality model in a way, because I like to keep things simple. I'm a pretty simple guy. I dropped out of school at 16. I've got no formal qualifications, right? But I've got a keen interest in understanding humans and life and people. But I like to keep it simple. So for me, there is a binary equation of life. If we look at the world we live in modern society, there is a binary is what's built it. Ones and zeros.
Yes.
Yeah. The binary equation of life is love or fear.
Love or fear. Yeah.
Love or fear.
Yeah.
That's it. That's always your choice. Now, they have two different corridors and two different gradients. Now, if somebody cuts you up in traffic, you may just get mildly annoyed, but you're still putting your toe in the corridor of fear. And once you choose a corridor, you're in that corridor. Now, you may get all angry and scream and shout. That's jumping further down the corridor of fear. Or you can turn around and you can say, oh, that's fair enough. I'll send the guy love. Or you can be like not bothered and just say, oh, I'll just give him some more space on the road. He clearly needs it more than I do. You put your toe in the corridor of love.
Yes.
Or you can sit there and do a meditation to be able to send some love to the guy's family and some healing and some prayers. Right? You jump further in the corridor of love. But it's a binary equation. Yeah? Now you take the world. Let's do an experiment. Yeah? Tom plays with this. Very cool. You take the earth and split it in half. And on one side, you put, let's say, 1 million people. And you have them coming from love, not fear. And you run the experiment for a few decades. What happens? You go and have a look. And, if somebody comes up with an idea, they share it. Yeah, if someone's had a problem, the group come around to try to solve it.
Yeah.
Somebody's barn burns down, the rest go around and try and rebuild it. There is a commonality. You come back after 20, 30 years, that community has progressed and is thriving.
Advanced civilization, yeah.
Let's go to the other half of the world, yeah? And you put the same million number of people and run it for the same amount of time, but now they come from fear, not love, as their binary choice. What happens? Now it's about self, not other. Now it's about what can I accumulate, not what can I give. What can I grab, not what can I contribute. So you now start hoarding stuff. And I've got to put energy into protecting it so that you don't come along and steal it. Or I band together with other people so we can go and take other people's stuff. Right? We then get power centers develop. Kind of sounds like the world right now.
Wow. Yeah.
What we're here to do is to start moving away from the collective fear, which you only have to turn on, what's it called, CNN, constant negative news?
Yes.
Right? To be able to see what the world is leaning towards the corridor of fear instead of the corridor of love. Yeah? So you want to make the world a better place? Stop trying to build schools in Africa. Stop trying to change the education system. Start with you putting your foot in the corridor of love instead of fear in your free will each time you have a decision to make. And that will do far more leading by example than it will running around trying to fix everybody else's brokenness in your opinion.
Wow. You see that? It's the biggest impact you could have right there, just operating through love. Because every moment you have a choice. It's like fear or love. And just based on that choice, you're going to leave an echo.
Yeah. It's the binary equation of life.
Now, the highest state, right? Beyond through me, it's
As me.
Do you feel like you're on the path to as me? Or is that even a goal?
Definitely not a goal.
Okay.
If it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
My job is to just keep taking the next step.
Mm-hmm.
That's like saying, you're in kindergarten. Is your goal to go to university, get a PhD? Well, no, my goal is to graduate kindergarten.
Yeah.
And then I'll decide, or see what my path is and what have you. It's a little too far ahead. I'm grateful for the people that have graduated, that became teachers, to be able to pass back some curriculum. And we can call that Jesus or Allah or Buddha or Krishna or whatever the great spiritual masters are.
Yes.
And again, all the same lessons, just different covers on the book if you strip it away. And you can have fundamentalists that project their fear-based mentality and interpretation of that, whether it's people like ISIS for Islam, for example, and you can have the Crusades in the Richard III's time of the Christians that pretty much did the same thing. So it's not about pointing fingers, it's about what is your level of spiritual truth, and are you coming from a place of fear projection, or are you coming from a place of love projection? Doesn't matter who your teacher is. They all taught the same stuff.
Yes.
Give up judgment, blame, ego, and replace it with more, less judgment, compassion, humility, unconditional love. Right? So, but no, what do? We play a game saying, well, my teacher's better than your teacher, and I'm going to kill you if you don't like my teacher, so let's go.
Yes.
Yeah. Give me a break.
I love that school of life analogy. Yeah.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm here to hopefully get past my next graduation event. And people says, wow, prison must have been the most tough thing. Yeah, 3 deaths in 1 week was the worst week I was there.
Wow.
Attempted murders weekly, blood on the floor daily. I never once felt in danger, right? Because I was there to serve. Right? I felt that I had a higher purpose, and I call myself for many years an inverse paranoid.
Yes.
Which means that I'm convinced that the universe is involved in a secret and hidden conspiracy to make me happy and successful.
Love it. Yes.
But guess what? The Olympics is every 4 years. Will I have another graduation event? Of course. Right? People say, oh, I don't want another exam. Please, life, stop testing me. Well, what you're saying is, I don't want tests that I don't like. Well, start raising your level of consciousness and your expression of love instead of fear, and your lessons will get easier.
Wow. Simple as that. Raise your consciousness and act out of love, not fear.
Yeah, otherwise, life's going to need to get your attention.
Yes.
And it may be throwing you in jail for 6 months and seeing how do you walk your talk or not. Yeah, and I'm very proud. I was able. I have obviously a strong background in personal growth and development, but I was able to work with people in there. We changed lives. I won a national award for the work I was doing. We stopped suicides, got people off drugs. I got letters of commendation from the governors, from the prison officers, from the prisoners. It was amazing. I've granted prison scholarships to people to come do my coaching programs now.
Wow.
That attended my business school. It's become a legacy. I created a booklet for new prisoners to help adjust their mindset, because there's nothing for them that can help. Which gets trialled in a few prisons next week, to leave a legacy there. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life, and I don't regret a second.
That's amazing. Round of applause for that.
I'm just lucky enough to be able to have that opportunity.
Yeah. What's next for Peter Sage? Who do you want to be remembered as?
I have no interest in being remembered. I would like my work to have an impact.
Yes.
Yes. But again, don't get hooked up on the name, otherwise you start creating false gurus. The last thing you want to do is put somebody on a pedestal. Because you minimize yourself by contrast. And that goes against everything I teach. I teach that my role in life, if I have a role, is to hold up a mirror so people can see their own greatness. Because most of the time we've been told to ignore it. Or we don't have it. Or I'm better than you, but if you buy my stuff, then you'll be as good. And all that crap that goes on in the personal growth world. So, if for me, I've got the book coming out now. The book, The Inside Track, is actually the 11 letters that I wrote from jail to my high-level coaching clients, explaining what I was doing and how I was doing it. And rereading it after I came out, they said the world really needs to hear this, not just my coaching groups, because it's a how-to manual for being able to conquer any adversity in your life. It shows you the tools, the techniques, the thought patterns, the insights, the step-by-step on how, no matter what happens, and we all have adversity, whether it's losing loved ones, whether it's health challenges, whether it's losing your business and going to jail, which incidentally, when I came out, all of the accusations from HP went away.
Wow!
It was all a con. It was all a ruse to try to squeeze money out of me in a civil action that's unfortunately how civil action is. It's a tool. It's litigation in business is a tool. It's a chess game. But it gave me the great opportunity to do what I did. But the letters in there and how it all comes together is my gift really out of that to everybody, saying, listen, dive in, take out of this what you can. There's something in there that can help everybody, and I'm very blessed to be able to contribute. So that's really my focus right now.
Yeah, I was grateful enough to get the manuscript of the Inside Track, and I was blown away just how it was written, the rawness of the letters, and all the lessons that you shared. And I'm sure the listeners that are watching, they want to know, when can we get the book in our hands?
It should be out on Amazon within the next few days, in fact.
Wow, okay.
And I'm setting up for pre-order, so as soon as it does, I'll send you a message. You can send it out to the guys.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone that's listening would love to get their hands on a copy, and once it goes live on Amazon, I'll republish all the links and everything.
Fantastic. Yeah, I appreciate that, AJ. But please, if there's something in there that can help people deal with their own or navigate Earth School in their own way, then that's why it's there. It gives you context and a toolbox of how to really take on life and its challenges in a way that allows you to come out smiling, how to grow, how to pass the exams at the end of the year in Earth School, and how you can become a greater expression of who you are and not get caught up in all of the stuff that takes so many people down because they don't have the tools to deal with it.
I love that. So I'm going to sum all of this up with one final question. This is the question of the evening, but Peter, we would take your life's work, all of your experience, everything you've observed, and put it into a billboard in the middle of Times Square, 30 minutes away from here, for you to stare at it and for the entire world to stare at it. You could write one sentence on that billboard that would sum everything up and how you would want the rest of humanity to view life, a paradigm shift perhaps.
Wow.
What would that one sentence be?
Everybody wants to know what's the one golden sentence on there. And the challenge here, life is an instrument. Life is an orchestra, not an instrument. There's no one pill. But if I could try to sum up the contextual level of message you'd want to give, it would have to be, it would have to be based in love. It would have to be a message that sent out of the world. We're here to learn how to love, and the more we do that, the easier life gets. And if I was to put a pre-frame to that, because what stops people is that they, it sounds good, but they're too busy dealing with their mortgage and their day-to-day. I would probably say, you're already good enough.
You're already good enough.
You already are that which you seek. Give up trying to prove anything. You were born good enough. You were born amazing, and nobody has the right to tell you you're not. Know how great you are. Go shine your light, right, fearlessly, because you've got nothing to prove.
That's so powerful. Because a lot of it is the old thought of, when I have this, then I'll be happy. When I have this, then I'll be successful. And it's like, what is driving that usually is not being enough.
Insecurities about not being enough. Trying to avoid the fear that I'm not enough. So I can prove to my parents, my elder brother, my teachers that didn't believe in all of that stuff, all that story. And we spend a lifetime trying to get that validation by seeking external approval because we're not internally referenced. And when you can give that to yourself and require that you don't need anybody else's approval, you don't need anybody else's forgiveness. You don't need anybody else's permission. You need to make no apology. If you've done something wrong, you apologize, but you make a better decision next time. Life's not about trying to get all of the answers right in the exam. If you get every answer right in your exam, you're in the wrong class. We're here to learn from our mistakes far more than we do from our successes. So be fearless about that. Be okay with that. It's not great. I screwed up, and what an opportunity to learn and make a better decision next time. Not, I'm going to beat myself up and carry guilt for 3 years now because I made the wrong decision. No. Love yourself for being in a situation where you made the wrong decision so that you can get something valuable from it. And from there, you'll live a completely different life.
Cheers to that. On that note, Mr. Peter Sage, got to get his book, The Inside Track. I'm going to provide all the links and where to get it, his websites, everything like that. Peter, thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate you for this. This is a lot of value. And I got some massive shits from just talking to you here.
Well, thank you. And thank you for doing what you're doing. I've been a fan and admirer of your work. You give out so much output to these people. This guy loves you like you wouldn't believe. To be able to just take the time to set everything up here just so he can add some value and make a little difference. the ripples of your contribution go out to many far shores, my friend.
I appreciate you. Thank you for that.